Today I want to talk about the life that binds our world together, the microbial glue that sustains life and is absolutely vital for us all to survive, but yet is completely unnoticed and unappreciated. For me, this is where my love for microbiology started, in the soil, because this is where we find the densest populations of microbial ecology. Just in 1 teaspoon of healthy soil, you can find more microbes than there are humans on the planet. That is quite literally billions of life, just in a small quantity of soil. This is a vegetable garden I'm working on at the moment. Building up the soil layers, feeding the soil with organic matter, so that whole cities and cultures of microbes can grow and thrive. And in return, they feed and support the plants that are going to nourish me. Look at the size of this broccoli. It's huge. In the soil there's bacteria, nematodes, archaea, fungi, worms, nematodes. There's so much life in soil. When we look at the microbiomes of plants and people, we're actually not so different to plants. When we look at the root systems around plants, the root system is teeming with microbes that digest nutrients, harvest them and make them available for the plant in exchange for a home and sugars through photosynthesis. If we look at the gut, it gives a home to microbes, feeds them with what we consume, and then they break down the nutrients so that they're bioavailable for people. And that's where the root systems of a plant and the gut of a human being are not so different, and they have similar functions. When we look at the human skin and the surface of plants' leaves and bark, there we have microbes that protect us from pathogens. They protect us from environmental extremes by creating biofilms. And it's very similar both in plants and in humans. The microbiome is absolutely vital for both plants and people. It protects us, it breaks down nutrients, it regulates our immune system and our mental health. There's so much science coming out now that is just fascinating, the interwoven webs of microbial ecology that connect all life throughout the world. I've started to think of humans much like a moving composting system. We put organic matter in, we break down the nutrients and turn that into soil. What does a compost heap do? You put organic matter into the compost heap, that breaks it down through microbial composition and turns it into beautiful soil. People, compost heaps, very similar. We're always connected to the landscapes around us. When we move through different environments, we're exchanging microbes with that environment. We're giving off microbes into the air, and we're exchanging microbes into our own personal microbiome. One of the ways we do this is through what is called the aero microbiome. That's the microbes that inhabit the air around us. And when we breathe out a breath, we release microbes into the air around us. When we inhale, we bring microbes into our internal system. So that's where we're always in this exchange back and forth. We're always in connection to the landscapes we're inhabiting. Scientists have described the aero microbiome to be very similar to plankton in the sea, but aeroplankton. In the sea we have these large plumes of plankton, billions of tiny life forms. And in the sky, in the atmosphere, we have billions of microbial life forms that move around the earth on our weather systems. We have bacteria that fly around, some living out their whole lives in the upper atmosphere. We have tiny spiders that travel thousands of miles on the wind. As we inhale and exhale, just imagine that microbial exchange with the environment around us. As you move through your day, imagine this microbial soup, this diversity of microbes that inhabit the air we inhale, the air we move through every day. I like to think about this much like a whale moving through swarms of plankton. As we move through our day, we are moving through all of these microbes that are in our environment, but we can't see them. This here is an indicator of the microbes in our environment, an indicator of air quality and the microbial diversity of the environments. Here we have lichen. Lichen are a community of microbes that, depending on the species that initially come together, they create a different structure. Lichen are very sensitive to air quality, so we can use them as an indicator of whether there's pollution in the air. They also grow incredibly slowly, which means that any changes to the pollution of the air will affect their growth. How we use them as an indicator species is if there are more diverse, larger colonies of lichen in the landscape, particularly these more foliar types, these greens and greys, that is an indicator of better air quality. Whereas if we only have these more orange crustacean lichen, that's an indication of air pollution. Bear with me with this one. This is something I've been thinking about for a while, creating connections in ecology. And that's if lichen are an indicator of air quality, and they are a community of microbes that come together and they're stronger in this symbiotic, this mutually beneficial relationship than they are as an individual. Does that mean that lichen diversity and health is also an indicator of the health of the aero microbiome? I can't find any studies on this, but it's something I've been thinking about, and to me it makes sense. I find lichen absolutely fascinating. These slow, ancient, diverse and resilient species that inhabit all of our planet. They often go unnoticed, but they actually cover around 7% of our world's surface, growing on trees, on stone, in deserts, and they're incredibly resilient. One of the really quite radical things about lichen is all of these little particles, as they break off, they're communities of microbes. And when we brush past a stone or a tree and we get those small particles on us, and then we move across landscapes into different environments, different ecosystems, and they drop, that then inoculates that ecosystem with the community of microbes that are present in the lichen, meaning that lichen are the inoculator of ecosystems, imparting and moving microbes around the land, much like us humans as well. As humans, we think quite often about the different environments of the land, the meadow, the woodland, the coastal environment. But when we look at the human microbiome, it's very similar with these different environments. We have the skin microbiome that can be quite dry, sometimes sweaty and exposed to the elements. We have the mouth microbiome where we literally have billions of microbes thriving all of the time. And here is a moist environment, warm. We have the gut microbiome that is saturated with nutrients that microbes are always breaking down, always moist and a similar temperature. We have the hair microbiome where we might have dry hair, greasy hair. It's a little bit exposed but also sheltered by the filaments of the hair. This is where we are a walking, talking, moving community of microbes that live in us and on us. When we move through the landscape can act as a probiotic, meaning that it transfers beneficial microbes from the environment into our own human microbiome. But as we move through the landscape, we're always in exchange, giving off microbes for our breath, taking them in onto our skin, into our gut and our airway. It's well known that getting out in nature is good for us, but the science is starting to link that we're always in connection, and each different environment we walk through, whether that's the meadow, the woodland, the bog, each environment is imparting different microbes into our microbiome, supporting our physical and our mental health. I want to invite you that next time you go on a walk, think about how you're participating in the ecology of the land. Not only the macro life, the animals and plants, but also the micro life. As you're moving through this aero plankton, taking microbes in, breathing microbes out, and always in connection and exchange with the environments we inhabit.